Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and what you see behind me is a maximum efficiency Enderman farm that you can build with no risk of falling into the void. Let me show you how you can build this yourself and explain to you some of the principles behind why we need this type of design as opposed to some of the more traditional designs and where we are. And if you can see below me, we are still on the main end island, which is how you can build a farm with no risk of falling into the void. And as you can see here, we are pretty close to the build limit. And this is the iron bar. Above that there is some carpet, and above that is the minecart with an endermite in there, which does explain a little bit how this is working. Let's take a look at the materials you need to build first. And they are in this chest. Now, the items on the left-hand side are what you need mostly to build this little enclosure. A lot of this is optional. I'll explain what's not. These materials are what you need in order to build the setup up top, which attracts and then traps the Enderman. And then these are the materials you need for the platform. And these materials down here are just for the elevators to go up and then down with a water bucket at the bottom. So the entire structure that you see above is a 61 by 61 square. That means you will need 41 stacks plus 8. Now, I built it out of iron. You can build it out of any solid block you'd like. Just make sure you don't build it out of anything the Enderman can pick up. If you build your platform out of dirt, it won't be there for very long. And that's 2,632 solid blocks. Now, if you're short on materials, you can turn these into half slabs. Just make sure you place them as top half slabs, not bottom half. And then the internal glass circle that you see is a 33 by 33 square. And that would be 17 stacks of glass, or 1,088. Now, these don't have to be anything in particular. You can make these more solid blocks, but they're areas where Endermen won't spawn anyways. So I like to use glass so that you can actually see them coming. And you will need 2 trapdoors in order to get them to push each other in and to fall. Now, in here, most of this is optional in terms of the kind of setup you want for your Enderman XP farm. I always recommend putting an ender chest where you want to go, some enchantment setup over here, and a couple of chests to store your lapis. Underneath here is a setup to catch the ender pearls, which actually become a little bit of a nuisance in this type of farm. But it is very important that you put a half slab where the endermen are going to fall. And that has to do with ensuring they don't teleport away. And you'll see more of this when I show you some of the more traditional designs and why they won't work for this type of application. This is an obviously 2-block height area, with the 3rd block above being the floor. And that means you don't need to worry about putting double carpet everywhere in this type of design. And the reason that you need this half slab is because Endermen will teleport away before they take damage. And if they fall 3 blocks, that means they're about to take fall damage. 2.5 blocks, and they won't teleport away. And these trapdoors just help keep all of the items in. And this layer of trapdoors here helps make sure the Enderman can't reach you while you are attacking them with your sword. And I can do a little demonstration of that in a second. But then over here, you have obviously your way up and down. Now, as I said, this is built on the main end island, which is why I'm using iron bars here. If you want to make a water elevator for yourself to go all the way up, or any other sort of elevator, it's important to note that the Ender Dragon will destroy most blocks. They won't destroy iron bars, they won't destroy endstone, but most other blocks they will. So just keep that in mind when you're building this, or if you want to just make a platform to land with your elytra, that is also doable out over here. And this is why I like the glass, because you can see them all running back to the center. Now, a maximum efficiency Enderman farm means that you will get 60,000 XP per hour, which is the most possible that you can get with Enderman. And the reason for that is how XP works. Enderman has 5 XP points, and when you kill it, it drops 3 XP orbs. The player can only absorb 10 orbs per second, and that puts a limit on how much XP you can get from an Enderman farm. But there are a couple of other farms that do yield more XP, such as a properly done gold pigman farm, or zombie pigman farm that also gets you gold, excuse me, as well as Ocean Monument Guardian Farm will also yield you more XP and some furnace setups you can make. But Enderman farms are fairly straightforward to make. And back to our materials, you do see there are 2 swords here. The only difference is the looting, and I do recommend that you generally keep a non-looting sword for your XP purposes. And the reason for that is that ender pearls become a little bit of a nuisance. You'll have way more than you want. And you can see underneath, under those half slabs, we have some hoppers that do feed into chests to collect ender pearls for all your ender pearl needs. And we can even do a little bit of a showcase to show how fast you can go from 0 to 30 levels with this, which should be about a minute 40. And if you don't want to see this, you can always jump forward about a minute and a half. Now, as I said, the problem that you have with Enderman farms is the amount of XP they drop, and you do see I'm in survival, and you just swipe away, and they will keep coming, and they can't hit me. Now, if you see the XP bar, you will see that it should continue to move. And that's because more XP balls are being generated than can be absorbed. Excuse my rounding. If you murder more than 3, so figure about 3.5 per second, they drop more than 10 XP balls per second, meaning there will always be some left over. And the way you know that this farm is maximum efficiency is when we stop killing them, we'll be able to look down and see that we're still gaining XP because there are more orbs in the world than are being absorbed. Now, you can play around with the spawning platforms if you want, try and save some materials, or if for any reason you find that your setup does not have maximum efficiency, you can also build it in a circle as opposed to a square to take advantage of some additional resource savings there based on how far they'll have to travel. But it's easier to build in large squares than large circles. So that's why the dimensions were given in a square, and this demonstration to show you that you do get that maximum efficiency. I do apologize, it is extremely loud. And as you can see, there's still more XP to be absorbed. So this farm is maximum efficiency. I can put that back. Now, the way this little entrapment up here works is we have our endermite in the minecart above, sitting on carpet, which is sitting on an iron bar, and this iron bar is the 3rd block up. So you have the floor, you have 1 iron bar, and then 1 more. It's the 3rd block up, so it's head limit to the enderman. So no matter what they do, they can't reach it. Now, in order to make sure that they push themselves into this, we lay out this setup, and you can turn this out of glass. You don't have to use iron. And we do that on both sides. And then we put double carpet on top of that to make sure that they can't teleport up top and murder the endermite. So, if you're unaware of how to get an endermite, have a nice little setup over here that shows you what you need. Now, the reason we have a little dip like this is because of how high we are. You actually need to put the minecart down 1 block. It won't let you put the minecart there, so you put it down 1, and then you push it in. Now, these blocks are all temporary, and you can see underneath we have our iron bar and carpet set up. Now, I put a little glass block here so you know which way you want to put it. And then to spawn an endermite, you just need to continue to throw ender pearls into the ground. You do want to have a name tag to make sure the endermite doesn't disappear. you want to make sure that whatever armor you're using does not have thorns, because you don't want the endermite to die by attacking you. You need your ender pearls. These are obviously the materials that you need to set up this little temporary thing. And then your food. Now I'm going to use golden apples just to make this go a little bit faster so that I can continue to throw these pearls into the ground. And changing my game mode into survival. And you're hoping for an endermite to spawn. Now you have a 5% chance with every throw to spawn an endermite. And sometimes you get more lucky than other times. Just keep slamming your face into the ground. And there we go. So let's try not to die and push the endermite into the cart. You can also then give him a name tag, and it's a little bit easier to name tag it before you put it in the minecart. And then once that's done, you break the block where you want to push him in, and then simply push them into place, and then you can destroy all of the temporary blocks around it and build the other setup as you saw. Now, the reason that we need to build this pancake setup is, as you can see over here, the Endermen are teleporting away before they fall. And there are some down there, but more often than not, they teleport away. And sometimes you can kind of see them glitch out when they fall down. And I don't know if you can see that on YouTube, but they're zapping all over the place. And you can sort of fix it by putting water all over down there, but it doesn't really work. And you'll see that's not a design flaw of this. And this, by the way, is a 40 block drop, so that they're one-shot kills. Because you can see if we build this drop type farm further out, they won't teleport away, and they will be ready for you to kill them. Now, obviously, this setup requires you to go over the void, which takes away from our no void setup, which is the main purpose of that initial design that you see. Now, again, height-wise, this does need to be built by the very top of the build limit. You also need to make sure that the obsidian pillars are not within 128 blocks of where you're going to stand. If they are, you do need to put some lighting on them, and that lighting will be destroyed when the dragon is summoned again, so you'll have to put that light back. And to make sure there is no risk of falling in the void, do be sure to count out how far away the edge of your island is before you start building. Obviously, there is serious risk of dying from fall damage, but with fall damage, you'll be able to collect your gear falling into the void. Obviously, all your gear is lost forever. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate a like, and for more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.